I'll book a flight so we can leave this country and get married in court, far from gossip.
The clouds rolled lazily across the blue sky as if they had nothing better to do. In the heart of Enugu, nestled between hills and scattered red-roofed houses, lived a young woman named Amora. Beautiful, gentle, and intelligent, Amora had always believed in love, the fairy tale kind that swept you off your feet and led straight to happily ever after. She found that kind of love with Chuka. They met during NYSC. He was the tall, calm, and kind guy from Anambra, while she was the cheerful, outspoken girl who believed the world could be conquered with a smile. From their first meeting at the orientation camp, their bond grew deeper each day. People called them the couple of the year. They talked about marriage, children, and building a future together, but reality has a cruel way of sneaking into dreams. One evening, after taking the mandatory genotype test before their families would meet officially, Amora sat in silence as the doctor explained their results. "You're both AS," he said gently. Amora blinked. "So, you're not genetically compatible. If you marry, there's a high chance your children could be SS." That night, Amora cried like a child. Chuka held her, his own heart in pieces. But they were not foolish. Love was not enough to risk the health of unborn children. After many painful conversations and prayers, they ended the relationship. It felt like someone had cut Amora's heart open and left it bleeding. 2 years later, she met Obina, calm, hardworking, and patient. He was a good man, and though her heart never beat for him like it did for Chuka, she allowed herself to love him in a new way, peacefully, slowly. They got married and moved to Port Harcourt. Life moved on. Her younger sister, Chioma, had been away at school for most of this period. She knew Amora had once been heartbroken but never knew the full story. Chioma was the playful one, a student of UNN, and never took life too seriously until she met him. He was older, respectful, and loved her deeply. He took his time with her, no pressure, just affection. His name? Chuka. Chioma never imagined her sister once loved the same man. Chuka, on the other hand, was surprised by how much Chioma reminded him of Amora, but different in her own way. He never imagined fate would bring him back to her family from another angle. They dated for 3 years, and when Chuka finally asked for her hand in marriage, Chioma was overjoyed. She called home, and the date for their introduction was fixed. That day came. Chuka's family arrived early, gifts in hand, smiles on their faces. The compound was filled with music, laughter, and the smell of jollof rice and fried meat. Amora, now with a child of her own, had returned home with her husband to support her sister. She was in the kitchen, slicing onions, when she heard someone say, "The groom is here." Out of curiosity, she stepped out, and saw him. Her hand dropped the knife. Her eyes widened. Standing in the center of her family compound, holding a bottle of wine with his people behind him, was Chuka, her Chuka, the man she had once planned a life with. The man she had cried for. She froze. He turned. Their eyes met. He blinked in shock, taking a step back. "Amora," he whispered. Chioma ran up to him, laughing, and took his hand. "Sister, meet my future husband." The world went silent. Amora didn't speak. Her heart thundered. Rage, confusion, betrayal, everything churned in her belly. "No," she finally said. Her voice was firm, cold. "This cannot happen." Everyone turned. "Mama, Papa, this is the man I wanted to marry 2 years ago," Amora said, her voice rising. "The one I broke up with because we are both heirs." Chioma looked confused. What are you saying?" "I'm saying he is ours." "So are you? What if you are heirs too? Have you tested?" Chioma blinked. "No." Chuka stood still, his face pale. "How could you?" Amora screamed, tears running down her cheeks. "How could you come to this house? Did you know she was my sister?" "I didn't," he said quietly. "Not until I saw you now." Voices rose. Parents argued. The compound became chaotic. Some elders tried to calm the situation, but it was too late. The damage had been done, the introduction was cancelled, Chuka's people left, humiliated. Chioma cried into her mother's arms. Amora sat on a stool, trembling, and that night, as the compound settled into silence, Chioma walked to her sister. "You still love him?" She asked quietly. Amora didn't answer. Chioma sniffled. "Now I know how you felt. Because I loved him too." Neither of them spoke again, but that night, two sisters lay in separate rooms, their hearts aching for the same man, one from the past, the other from a broken future, and somewhere, Chuka drove through the night, wondering if love had cursed him or fate had just played its final card. The rain fell that night, as if the sky too was mourning. Chioma did not sleep. Her pillow was soaked, not from the rain but her tears. Her heart pounded with betrayal, with pain, with confusion. She had loved Chuka deeply. He was the only man who ever made her feel safe. And now, he was her sister's ex. The next morning, the compound was quiet. The shame of a failed introduction hung like a cloud. Villagers whispered. The elders left early, heads shaking in disappointment. Amora stayed in her room with her child, not saying a word. Her husband, Obina, tried to calm her, but she was restless. Mama paced the corridor. Papa sat outside with a bottle of schnapps, staring into nothing. Chioma finally stood up. Her hands trembled, but her heart had questions. She found Amora sitting on the edge of the bed, holding a framed picture of her wedding. "You still love him, don't you?" Chioma asked again, voice steady this time. Amora didn't look up. "Love doesn't vanish. It sleeps." Chioma's lips quivered. "Why didn't you tell me? You knew I was dating someone, you never asked questions." "I didn't know it was him." Amora snapped, turning sharply. "You never told me his name. You just said you were in love and wanted to surprise us." "I didn't know either." Chioma's voice cracked. "You think I would knowingly date your ex?" Silence. Amora looked at her sister's swollen eyes and softened. "I'm sorry." Chioma whispered, "I still want to marry him." Amora's face changed. "What?" "I did a test last night," she said quietly, pulling a folded paper from her pocket. "I'm AA." Amora stared at her, stunned. "I'm compatible," Chioma said, her voice shaky. "It doesn't matter what he was to you before. I love him." Amora felt like the ground had shifted under her feet, but he's mine too, Amora whispered, tears filling her eyes. "You're married," Chioma said. "You moved on." There it was. The truth, yes, Amora had moved on. But her heart hadn't. The following week, Chioma and Chuka met in secret. He had tried to stay away, but when she called and said she was AA, he broke down crying. They held each other tightly. "You still want me?" he asked. "I never stopped." They planned to elope. Chioma couldn't stay in the same house anymore, not with judgmental eyes and a sister who looked at her with silent pain. Chuka booked 2 flight tickets to Abuja. They'd marry in court, far from gossip, but secrets have wings. And one flew into Amora's ears 2 nights before the flight. She was walking home from the market when she overheard 2 schoolboys talking. "Did you hear? That girl Chioma is running away with her sister's ex." Amora's back dropped, the word spun. She stormed home, waited until Chioma returned, and blocked the door. "You're eloping with him?" she asked. Chioma froze. Amora's eyes were fire. "You want to destroy me completely." "I love him," Chioma shouted. "You're married. You chose someone else." "I chose peace over passion. Don't mistake that for healing," they shouted. The house shook. Their mother cried and begged them to stop. Obine came in and pulled Amora away. Chioma packed her bags the next morning, but something happened that none of them expected. That evening,